Main Street, and I'm an attorney that does work with Safe Space. I want to piggyback and add on and incorporate everything the other speakers have said, but I want to boil it down to you to 3 simple areas why Safe Space is so important to this county. When a victim of domestic violence seeks help and they get it, whether that help is the shelter that they can go to, whether that help is the counseling that they get, whether that help is just advising a person on how best to protect themselves, or whether that help is one of the attorneys that works with Safe Space that represents the victims of domestic violence. Myself, Boyd Sturgis, and Sue Anthony are 3 attorneys that have been doing that work for a number of years now. When the abuser sees that person has support and help and is no longer isolated, many times the abuse stops. Why that's important to know tonight is that at that point is when the problems that law enforcement kind of run into with stalking, with the assaults that happen after someone leaves an abusive relationship, because of Safe Space involvement, many times law enforcement having to come out and make calls, having to deal with domestic violence calls, which are some of the most dangerous for law enforcement. Not saying that they don't happen anymore, but once that person's no longer isolated, law enforcement does not have to worry as much because those calls aren't there, that person has protection, and that abuser knows they don't want any more trouble. The other way that Safe Space saves the county money and saves problems for county government is in that courtroom. I've worked in Nash County, Wake County, and in the other counties around where Mr. Grove said Safe Space is unique in that not only do they offer counseling and help with filing protective orders, they actually have attorneys in there pushing these cases and making sure the right thing happens in that courtroom. I've seen in courtrooms not only cases lost on behalf of the victim because they didn't have that help, but also sometimes these cases, if they're not done properly, the courtroom can become a little bit of a mess. And so Safe Space helps make that courtroom experience more efficient and is able to focus the judge on the cases that need to be heard and give the opportunity to help the victim. I've done a lot of work with Karen Branch, who's one of the Safe Space employees that I think has had to be let go because of these cuts. And I don't know if Ms. Branch had a master's in social work, but I know that the work that she did working with the victims of abuse, she made it so that a lot of people didn't have to wind up on social services doorstep. And so I want you to understand, yes, if you increase your budgetary consideration for Safe Space, is it a good cause? Yes. Is it going to keep children and people who are in domestic violence situations, is it going to help them get out of them? Yes. But I want you to consider it an investment. Safe Space makes that courtroom run smoother. It reduces the need for law enforcement to go out after someone leaves for stalking and for further assaults. And it keeps people from having to go to social services. And so I would ask you to look at, when you make that decision of what to do with the budget with regard to this money that Safe Space is asking for, I want you to look at it as not an opportunity just to help, but an opportunity to make an investment to make Franklin County a better place. Thank you.
Anyone